You recently had a conversation with President Biden where you received that ironclad commitment for the defense of the Philippines. Tell us a little bit about this relationship with the U.S., especially when it comes to perhaps more military bases for U.S. use in the Philippines.
Well, the question of military bases, American or otherwise, has been decided because in our Constitution we're simply not allowed to have foreign military bases in the Philippines. However, given that, there are still many arrangements that we can make in terms of our joint military and defense and security responses to all these shocks that we are seeing and having to go through. So, again, in the Philippines, for the Philippines and the United States, it's a very singular situation. We have had 100+ years relationship. Our formal relationship is in 70 years, but even beyond that, we already had the relationship with the United States, and that's what we hope to build on. We continue to
and that
build.
includes more usage of bases for the U.S.
No, we can't have bases. We can't have
the
bases.
usage and other agreements that you
Well,
just
we have the
talked
visiting
about.
forces agreement, which allows forces to come on a rotational basis, not a permanent base. We also have a mutual defense treaty with the United States. The United States are our only treaty partners when it comes to that, and so that has to evolve. And that is what we spoke about with President Biden. And I said what we started off with maybe 70 years ago, the situation is entirely different now, and therefore we have to evolve that. So the relationship between the United States and the Philippines will just continue to grow. That partnership will not diminish in any way whatsoever. And I think in the future, it will probably just go from strength to strength.
But the Philippines, as many other countries, is in a trickier position, right? Given the rivalry between the U.S. and China. If there are more tensions around Taiwan, what role would the Philippines play?
Well, essentially the role that the Philippines is envisioning for ourselves is just the defense of the Philippines. But it's clear to us that if there is actual outright conflict, and a shooting war begins, there is no way that we are exempt from that, whatever we do. Kaohsiung is 40 minutes away by flight from the northern Philippines. The nearest part of China to the Philippines is 600 kilometers. So it's not something that we can possibly avoid. And so, of course, the defense of the country is going to be the first priority. But again, we cannot act independently in the sense that the Philippines is not militarily sufficiently capable to fight a war by themselves or even for the defense of the country. Therefore, we are putting much of our efforts into the partnerships that we have with our allies, with our partners. ASEAN is going to have a very large part to play in this. I really believe that ASEAN should be the main actor when it comes to the defense and security around the region. Of course, there are multilateral, that's one of the best examples of a multilateral arrangement, but bilateral arrangements with other countries also are available. And that certainly applies to the United States, where we have very strong bilateral relations, and we can use that as a basis for moving forward. But you cannot look at the security situation and isolate it to defense and security. The economies around the West Philippine Sea and the Asia Pacific region, the strength of the economies play a large part. And I've used the term economic security as a basis also for the security of our different member nations and our different allies. And I always say that the main pillar of our foreign policy is peace. We talked about the economy, and we all know that is top of mind, and that is critical right now. And we have many plans, and we have many ideas that we have started to put into place. But without peace, they will not be they will not come to fruition.
Mr. President, finally, very recently, the Philippines marked 50 years since your father declared martial law, and your campaign has also been blamed for historical revisionism. How do you plan to move forward?
I think we have moved forward. I think perhaps those are, that political question is being raised by our political opponents. But the political cycle we have gone through during the last campaign and the last election has really given us the direction of where people want us to take the government, where the people want us to take the Philippines, and that is to economic prosperity. And that's why, we have focused on that. As a matter of fact, if you look at the campaign, I did not engage on that basis. I simply engaged people on the basis that this is what we want to do for you. And at this critical juncture in our economic history, that is the most important thing. And to go back to the political aspect of it, the best politics is still performance. And that's how you move forward. You perform well, and make the people do the things that you need to do so that people feel that there is an improvement in their lives. And that's the most important thing.
How about plans to execute the estate tax ruling involving your family?
Well, we're still, the problem with that is that it's very simple, is that we were not allowed to argue that because we were in exile. So we would like to go back and say that let's see because what really has happened is that that number that is being bandied about includes all kinds of properties that certainly we have never claimed. In fact, we have signed many quitclaims on those properties, but nonetheless, they are assessed against the estate. So there isn't the assessment rather is not based on the estate value of the estate, simply because the estate has not been probated. The estate is under the control of the government. So we have yet to define what the estate actually is so that we are able to come to a proper assessment. And that is the issue that we would like to argue now before the courts.
Mr. President, we're running out of time, I'm being told, but let me just ask you one final question. Given that investors are watching the Philippines right now, a lot of the uncertainty about the Philippines, even with the previous administration, has come from uncertainty and questions about the rule of law. What can you tell the global markets right now? What's your message?
Well, the rule of law is always paramount. I mean, we have always said that we are people, we are a nation of laws rather than politics or people. And I think that if we look much closer at some of the issues that have been raised, we will find that the Philippines and the government has hewed very closely to the strictures of what the law allows and does not allow.
Mr. President, thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your interest in the Philippines.
Well, what can you say? Kindly share your thoughts in the comment portion. We have reached the end of today's video. In behalf of my partner Rina and the rest of the Splat Communications and Simplified Strategic Solutions team, thank you. Till next time. Stay safe. Rosa out. Bye.